If you ever wanted to try and build a Craftsman kit and thought it was all too hard, in this video series I will show you how to build the Pine Valley engine shed for Carolina Craftsman Kits by Jeff Grove. I will step you through building this great medium-sized kit and show you some basic techniques that will achieve some awesome results. Hi, I'm Darren from Model Railroad Techniques. Our YouTube channel produces how-to and product review videos for the modeler, no matter your skill level. If you follow these steps in this video, I'll help you build this awesome Craftsman kit. The skills you will learn can be transferred across to any kit you choose to build. So let's get started. Make sure you subscribe, click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook and Instagram at Model Railroad Techniques. At the end of the last video, I left you with a photo of the model on the layout, and I had put all the windows in. So what I'm going to look at doing now is just quickly buzzing through how I weather the windows up. So it's a very, very simple process. I won't lament over it too long, purely because I've done a few videos on it now, and I'll link them to the cards. Now, all I'm doing there is just grabbing some pastel chalks, probably that would be the darker brown color, and then just working them in, just lightly going over and just taking some of that luster away and sort of dulling down the colors a bit. So I also work in sort of the top of each of the window panes there, because it's over time it's where dust and grime is going to sit. So with that, obviously the antique white, it's quite a vivid color against that the oxide red, but with the weathering with the chalks and the like, it really does tone it down and sort of meshes it in nicely to the rest of the model. So at this point in time, it's just a matter of methodically working around your way around the model, I should say, to just go through all the windows, all the panes. Less is more, so you can always go back in at a later stage to tidy it up. Now we're into making the corrugated iron roof. So those portions there are scale 3x8. Now, what I actually did with those, that's a new product that I'm trying, which is a corrugated cardboard. So it's just a matter of colouring them up with an under primer, and then we'll start doing the rust effects. The colours I'm going to use for the rusting effect are the raw umber, which is the darker brown colour, the burnt umber, the raw sienna, all those three are by Americana, and a golden ochre or a yellow ochre type colour. Now, as mentioned, I'm going to use a sponging technique, so I don't know how well that's showing, but that sponge has got quite a small pores on it, because these are quite delicate roofing sheets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the dark colour first, and then splodge some of that out on your plate. So you can see I line up all my sheets quite methodically there. I'm sort of toying between holding the sheets down with either some tweezers, or you can see my finger there, so I do apologise, my hand's in the way. So it's just a matter of working that colour in, the raw umber, very, very subtly on the bottom of each of those sheets, and it's just a gradation of the 3 or 4 colours we're going to use to get the desired result. So the next colours I'm going in with is the burnt umber and the raw sienna, both by Americana. Now you can sort of see that I've just randomly putting these colours on, working towards the bottom of the sheet. Now, I'm not too concerned whether I've done half the sheet, a quarter of a sheet, or just the tip of the sheet. So obviously when you install them, there will be a randomness to it, how the colours will interact, but trust me, the technique's quite effective. If you want to mix the technique up a little bit, what you can actually do, you can have the rust I'm doing is more what I'm going to call more entrenched rust. So it's obviously been around for longer. So if the lighter the tone, the newer the rust. So if you want to more portray that, you just need to put more of those tones. So the last colour I'll go in with is the yellow ochre, and I'll just sparingly put this on and dab that towards the end. So the next part of this little technique, you can see I've got a 6B pencil there. So what I do, I just run around each of the 4 edges of each sheet. So the reason I do that is because being it's a card based or paper based product, they're all white, so that just takes away that whiteness. So what I also do, I also run very, very lightly the pencil over the high ridges of the sheet. So what that actually emulates is a sheet that might be sort of more wear and tear on it there, where some of the colour has started just to bleed through a little bit and just shows a more rustic type look. So the next step I'm going to show you is how I install corrugated iron sheeting. Now you can see the little outbuilding there to the side of the model is where this is going to go. So that little sheet there is just a very simple cardstock that I've sort of coloured grey with the rattle can. I've done a few corrugated iron roofs now in various materials. Now what I'm sort of finding is that the first row of sheeting is paramount to get nice and square to make the overall roof look believable. So I'm just adding some double-sided tape or transfer tape, I think you call it in some parts of the world. So just so that first layer of the corrugated iron I can put down nice and straight and true. So here's me adding the first sheet. So obviously you work from the bottom up, and being I'm right-handed, I'll start from the left. So if you want to work from the right, that's fine. It's just the way I do it. So what I actually do, it's just a matter of overlapping each of the sheets by a few of the corrugated iron, what I call the flutes, or the ridge, the highs and the lows, and just slowly work your way across the roof. Now it's probably important to point out that you just got to make sure when you do the first few sheets to get them nice and square with the edge of the cardstock that's underneath the roof. So you basically want to have to ensure that the 90-degree angle on the left side there is nice and true. So what I'm doing there, some of the sheets you may need to add just a little bit of glue to make sure that the sheets are not rising up. Now for the second layer of the sheeting. So first thing, I put some of my Aleene's glue down, super tacky, and that's just a matter of doing the same technique. So probably could argue that I've probably added just a little bit too much colour or rusting to those sheets for the rest of the build, but that's fine. I can add some more pastel chalks later on. So it's just a matter of moving your way across. Make sure you, as you can see, I'm sort of clamping that one down, because you want to make sure that it's nice and flat before going on to the next line of sheeting. So that's what the sheeting looks like at this point in time. You can see, so on the far right there, those are hang a little bit, so it's just a matter of going through with a sharp pair of scissors or a knife and just cutting the back and squaring off. So that's no issues. Now I want to step you through the main roof of the shed. So I'm sort of stepping out here a little bit. So the look I want to get is a look of a tar paper roof that has reasonable wear and tear and damage to it. So what I mean by that, the tar paper has all but eroded away, and it's showing the joists and the bearers and the formwork underneath. So there's the example of the first lot I did. So that's actually clapboard, or sorry, board and batten siding underneath with some strip wood over the top of it. So I'm not totally happy with that system, purely because there's too much of a profile between where the board and batten starts and the roof, the top of the tar paper roof finishes. I just don't think that's quite prototypical. From a distance it looks fine, so it's going to be on the side of the shed that is very rarely going to be seen. So I've come up with a better way of doing it, so I'll show you how I've done that. So this is the look I'm after. So you can see that I've cut into the corner of the under cardboard cardstock. I've added some supports there, then I've started going through and added some strip. The strip wood's about a 1/16 of an inch. It's already pre-stained, so I will have to go back in and do some more colouring it with pastel chalks and maybe some stains, but probably the video doesn't give it justice. It's actually quite nice looking stain already on it. So the first step of making the roof the way that I want to do it is cutting into the cardstock there the shape that you're after into the roof. So you can see you just do that with an X-Acto knife. Now the next thing I'm doing there is just gluing to the underside of the roof card is just simple coffee stirrers. Now just be mindful, a mistake that I did make is just try to keep it away from any of the edges, because it will interfere when you glue the roof on to the actual building proper. So I probably went with 4 at that point in time. So that's what it looks like from the other side. Now in that picture there, you can see I've gone through and started colouring it up. So I just used a burn umber and just coloured the coffee stirrers, just so if there are put any gaps within the roof purlins that wood doesn't show through. So the next step is just gluing the strip wood in place. So all you do is you start from the bottom of the top, doesn't really matter, and cut them roughly to size. So I did cut them just a little bit too long, so I can go back and trim them up later. So when you get to either the top or the bottom edge, it doesn't really matter if there's a slight gap, because what you can actually do, hide that edge with the tar paper when you go through and do that part of the technique. So that's the finished product. So you can actually see that the profile of that wood actually fits nice and snugly in there. So the top of the strip wood, as I'm pointing out there, is pretty well level with the top of the card, so the thickness is just right. So obviously you saw the last roof, which was less convincing, but I'm quite happy with the way this has come out. So the next step is preparing all the strips. So the strips I've done there is just a black construction paper, and then with a rattle can I have sprayed it lightly with a grey undercoat. So I'll put in the cards above how I've done that before in previous builds, but those strips are approximately 1/2 inch wide and the full length of an A4 piece of paper. So there they are there. So you can sort of see how it's just not full a grey colour in there. Some of the black is coming through. So the next thing I've trialled here is that's a 400 grit piece of sandpaper. So just to sort of gunge the edges up and just to start weathering up those individual strips, I just pull it through my fingers like that and add a little bit of pressure more towards the edge of the sheet, and it's actually coming up quite nicely. It's sort of peeling some away to that paint. So the only issue with doing it this way, it does curl it up a little bit, so it's just a matter of bending them in the opposite direction to get them back flat. So you can sort of see there the look that I'm after. So it's just starting to weather up nicely and sort of decay with the weather and time. And now what we'll do, we'll install the sheet. So you can see I've put my first line of glue there, so it's just a matter of grabbing one of the sheets. Now I normally find I put the most weathered edge towards the bottom of each individual strip. That just seems to look nicer. So here's me just putting it through, so it's just a matter of make sure you square it up to the edges nicely. So what I'm sort of finding is it's best to have a length of the strip and then actually cut the individual strip as you go around where the wooden planks are showing through. The reason for that is if you don't do that, what will actually happen, you actually have to tear up some of the strip to actually get to it. So I haven't done it there, but it was a mistake that I made, and I've gone back in since, and that's how I've done it. So after you get sort of the first strip down, you can probably put enough glue down for maybe 2 lines of the sheeting. So that's the outcome and the look I'm trying to get. So you can sort of see that I've put a little bit of gap in the board there also to add a little bit more effect. Now the board's over the top holding the tar paper down, which is someone's trying to patch up. All I've done there is use the same type of strip wood as the barge and other trimmings. Guffed it up with a wire brush and put a overwash of isopropanol and Indian ink on it. So it's just a matter of sticking them on there and then just sort of breaking the ends to make them a little more rustic looking. So obviously that has not had the pastel chalks and all that go through it as yet. As you can sort of see, I've sort of gone in around the edge there with an X-Acto knife and just started picking away at the edges just to accentuate a little bit more wear and tear there. But on whole and whole, I'm actually quite happy the way this technique has come out. So I've gone through and applied the roof there, put the ridge cap on, and also you can see that strip wood across the top there, which is like a walking board. So all that is some leftover strip wood that I had. Same sort of technique. It's obviously, it was antique white initially. I scrubbed it back quite hard with a wire brush, and then put a stain of isopropanol and black Indian ink over the top of it. So the next part of the build, I've added these this strip wood to the front of the roof, which I call the barge. So it's exactly the same sort of technique. It's the strip wood that's painted antique white, brushed down with a wire brush, and then an Indian ink wash over the top of it. So I haven't sort of weathered that quite as much as the top, because it probably might not get as much weathering. So obviously you put that both ends and over and around all the doors. So the next part of the build where I've built the foundation is along here. So basically what that is, that's a 1/4 inch high brick card, which comes with the kit. So that is the card there. It's a lovely little product. Now, so all you do, you cut it to length, so that the foundation, or what it actually sits on, is made out of some of this wood here that I had lying around. So this here is probably a bit over 1 inch wide. All I did was cut it down the middle, and then I glued it to the underside of the building. So don't know if you can see, it's just a little instep there, as a foundation would. So just be mindful when you do your supports underneath here. It's probably important that you ensure that, one, these are actually level, and two, there's probably enough gap there, because on a few of these I had to sort of be a little bit liberal and sort of cut it right down. So then it's just a matter of gluing all your card in and then just going all the way around for the foundation. The other detail that I looked at putting on, which also comes with the kit, is these little drums here. So that's just a matter of, I just painted them up with various shades, or I painted them black to start with because they're actually a resin detail. So with that, I then colored them up with various brown type colors, so burnt umber, raw sienna, an ochre color, and sort of a khaki type color, and I sort of stippled on. Then I put an isopropanol wash on it. Then on the banding, I don't know if you can actually see that, which would be the metal banding there. I just used a 6B pencil, and then I just went around and colored just so lightly, and it sort of just brings out that detail quite nicely. So there's obviously that one there and that one. So the next step is on the detail. I then did the ladder. So the ladder was plastic styrene, so it's just a matter of, I undercoated that with a grey primer, and then same sort of technique. I just came through with different types of browns and then just sort of stippled the colours on there, then washed over the top of it and then stuck it on there. So it looks quite suitable for what's required of it. Now the next step obviously was also a styrene chimney. So same sort of technique, but I wanted to weather this up just a little bit more. So undercoated it with a grey primer as well, and then first of all gave it a wash with black isopropanol and Indian ink, and then I painted it a colour called Soft Black by Americana. So that's it's a real matte black. It's a lovely colour, so sort of really brown or black brown type colour. Sponge brushed on the colour, the rusting, and sort of just accentuated more around the all the seams and all that. So the rust colours I used were burnt umber, raw sienna, and an ochre colour as well. So then I sort of stuck that through. So then I went through and just added a bit more pastel chalks, sort of a real rusty type colour, just to accentuate, because obviously with the rain falling on with a roof like this, would just over time would stain the roof here. So I've also went through and just picked up some more of the detail and sort of the rust colours coming through with that. So the other little piece of detail that comes with the kit are these little lights. So that's just a matter of constructing them, and they're also painted with that black, that soft black color. So there's a light there and a light there. So the next piece of detail I'll point out is just these little stair wheels here, or flights of stairs. So they're made with a piece of styrene, which is quite delicate. So that's sort of what I have left of it. So that's obviously the bearers and the stringer regarding the stairs. So it's just a matter of cutting them to length, cutting at the right angle, and then the actual treads on the stairs, I went back through and used that strip wood, and it's just a matter of sticking them to the side. When you sort of put them in for the right angle, sit them on the ground, so you can actually see that it sits beautifully on the bottom there. So this is the end of the build for the CCK, or Carolina Craftsman Kit Pine Valley Engine Shed. It's been an awesome little build. I've really enjoyed building this, and I think I've come up with quite a reasonable product there. So big shout out to Jeff Grove at CCK for making such an awesome little kit for me to build. So that's the end of the video, as I said. So thank you very much for watching. So my next videos, I'm probably going to look at building some boats and ships for a harbour scene that I'm currently in the process of building. Make sure you subscribe and comment and all that other good stuff. So we'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe, click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook and Instagram at Model Railroad Techniques.